chirp.
The way I'm going to do this is that we'll try and go briefly through these amazing bios, and then we'll cover some pretty common questions that were asked as concept artists, and then we'll dive into some other questions which will make these guys sweat, and by the end they'll be weeping. No pressure. Yeah, no pressure. We have Tim Flattery, we have Phil Saunders, we have Zachary Berger, and we have Constantine Sekeris, probably the best name in concept art. Tim Flattery is an internationally acclaimed concept artist and designer with expertise in concept development, design, fabrication, and storytelling for the entertainment industry. In a career spanning more than 30 years, 35, okay. He's worked on some of the biggest films for directors, including Steven Spielberg, James Gunn, and Tim Burton. Some recent films he's worked on are Superman, Green Hornet, Avengers Infinity War, and Endgame, and Suicide Squad 2. Additionally, he has raised the creative bar with acclaimed design work on award-winning and blockbuster films, including Saving Private Ryan, Men in Black 1 and 2, Transformers, Pirates of the Caribbean, The Hunger Games, Spider-Man 2, and many others. Beyond his career as a concept designer in the film industry, Tim is provost at the College for Creative Studies in Detroit. He was the second concept artist I met after Sid Mead in 1987. He looks a little different back then. Phil Saunders, best known for his Iron Man suits for the Marvel comics, for the Marvel movies. Phil Saunders exercises his skills in concept design and illustration across a variety of genres, shifting between environments, sets, props, vehicles, costumes, characters, and keyframes with ease. Phil brings 30 years of problem-solving experience to any project, with illustration skills grounded in traditional media but adapted to the latest digital tools. That's Phil. Zachary Berger. Raised on the tiny island of Saipan, Zach moved to LA to attend the Art Center College of Design studying entertainment design. Zach was lead concept designer on Avatar, The Way of Water. He has worked with James Cameron, Ron Howard, Jon Favreau, and James Mangold, and the game studio Sony Santa Monica. He has won the 2023 Concept Art Award for Avatar, The Way of Water, and his work has been published in Imagine FX and 3D Artist magazine. That's Zach. Constantine Sekeris. After Constantine graduated from Art Center College of Design, he immediately landed in practical creature effects studios, learning about designing and executing creatures and characters from the ground up. He has worked on films like Avatar, The Way of the Water, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, House of the Dragon, Seasons 1 and 2, Batman vs. Superman, and much more. That's Constantine. Oh, God. Sean Hargreaves.
Shawnee Hargreaves. Ready, go.
Timmy. Originally from Blackpool, England, Sean moved to Los Angeles to attend the Art Center College of Design and went on to design concept cars at General Motors. In 1991, he transitioned to the film business, where he has had a prolific career, working for Steven Spielberg, Ridley Scott, Michael Mann, Luc Besson, and many more. He has worked as a production designer at George Lucas's Industrial Light and Magic, James Cameron's Digital Domain, as well as a matte painter at Rhythm and U Studios. Sean has taught at Art Center, done workshops in the USA, Asia, and Europe, and currently teaches part-time at the College for Creative Studies in Detroit for Tim Flattery. He has won the AICP Award twice and has been nominated for the Permanent Collection, has been nominated for 4 Art Director Guild Awards, winning 1. His work is in the permanent collection of the Museum of Modern Art in New York and has been featured in the exhibition Pixar 20 Years of Animation at the Museum of Modern Art in New York City. That's me. All right, that's it. I'm going to ask a series of questions. You have to answer them correctly. There's a small fishing village in the west coast of Ireland inundated with seals. What's it called for $100?
Blackpool?
Forget it. All right, Timmy. Timmy, you know the answer. Timmy, where are you from and how long have you been a concept artist?
You just said it in my bio, for fuck's sake.
No,
Jesus.
just get on with it.
I am from the great city of Detroit, Michigan. Born and raised, lived in LA for 30-some years and moved back to Michigan in 2015. And I've been working as a concept designer for over 35 years. Is that it?
That's good.
Would you sit closer to me?
Nope. Phil Saunders, where are you from and how long have you been a concept artist?
I'm from across the lake from this guy, more or less, from Toronto, Canada. Any Canadians in the audience? Yeah, go Canada. And yeah, I've been doing this since 91. What does that make it? 33 years, something like that. Not all for the movies, but probably about 23 years specifically in feature films. Before that, theme parks, video games.
We're not getting into the details yet. We're not getting into the weeds.
I had the shortest bio.
I was born a long time ago. I was small and then I grew.
Zachary Berger, where are you from and how long have you been a concept artist?
I guess grew up on the Pacific island of Saipan, moved to basically LA for as an adult, been a concept artist somewhere in the 15-year range, maybe, something 10 to 15, somewhere in there. Yeah.
Weren't you in Alaska at some point?
I was born in Alaska, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Constantine, where are you from and how long have you been a concept artist?
Originally, I'm Greek, from Greece, Spartan, yeah.
Still are.
Still are. I still am. Been a concept artist, wow, 28 years, 29 years, around there. Yeah, I'm getting up there.
He doesn't look it though.
Tim, did you always want to be a concept artist? Or was there a point that you suddenly decided that's what I wanted to do?
God, we're going to make this quick so we can get to questions. Hey, calm down over there. Yes, I did. Just like you all, I was a typical kid that loved to draw and paint and was inspired by Star Wars, but more so just a movie buff. And I went to college for creative studies, studied industrial design there. But even back in the mid-'80s, I shifted that to wanting to work in the film industry and geared my portfolio towards that. And there's a lot more to it, but the answer is yeah, this is what I've always wanted to do, and I still always want to do it, even today.
Phil?
What he said.
Yeah. It's a given.
Okay, what about Zach?
I guess I would say I didn't know this was a job, right? So I kind of knew I wanted to go in a certain direction, and I was always attracted to the entertainment industry. But I grew up on a tiny island, and we had a dial-up internet, and that was sort of the extent of it. I didn't have Noman DVDs and stuff like a lot of the guys my age did at the time. So it was sort of a learning process of I sort of had a direction, but didn't know exactly where it was going to lead me. And then as I sort of learned more about the various entertainment industries, decided oh, I want to do the drawing and painting and sculpting that is designing these characters and creatures.
Constantine?
I went to Art Center and for illustration. And then during my time there, I was there for a good 2 years, and in that time, Crash McCreary was teaching. And it was then when I started to figure out, oh, this is a living. You can actually make a living doing this. And I would sneak into his classes and just be in the background, just listening and just seeing his amazing work. And on top of that, he's just a super cool dude. Beyond the crash, I ran into an artist by the name of Chris Cunningham, and so it was then as well that I was like, wow, this could be something I want to pursue, and then I got into creature characters, all of it. Fell in love with it, still very much in love with it.
Chris Cunningham is here. Where are you, Chris?
Is he? No, is he?
Isn't he? Chris Cunningham?
I did meet him like a couple of years ago.
Oh, we're talking about Chris Cunningham. I'm thinking about Matt Cunningham. Matt, you're here. Sorry. Sorry,
he's talking about the video director.
Let me unswitch my wires here. Okay, we're going to two-part question here. What was your first job and how did you get it? Very important question. And what was your last job?
Am I going first?
Yeah, Tim, what was your first job and how did you get it and what was your last job?
Loaded question. Well, my first movie job was, my stepmother is an alien, and it I don't know if you guys have heard of it. It's Dan. Have you really? Get the fuck out. So Dan Aykroyd, Kim Basinger, and I designed the spaceship and the creature that comes out of her purse. It took 5 years to break into the industry, so the breakthrough movie was Back to the Future 2. Oh, yeah.
That's when I met you. That's when I met him. He's turned up in my class. I'm like, who's this guy with an enormous hairdo? And
listen, I want you to spend one day in my shoes, and we'll see how long your hair lasts.
I know you told me that.
This is a running.
He had
they have the two of them. They talk about Tim's hair.
He had this amazing portfolio of stuff he did for Back to the Future. It just blew me away. I was like, I want to be that guy. But for me to get that was a different thing. Zachary, or is it Phil? Phil's next. First job, how do you get it? What was your last job?
First movie job was when I was in junior year of college, and it was a movie called Eve of Destruction with Gregory Hines and Renee Sutendiek or something.
We missed that one, Phil.
Yeah, no, it was a super low budget Terminator ripoff. Nice. About this robot running around with a nuclear bomb in her chest, and I had to storyboard the scenes where the camera's flying through her veins and to the nuclear reactor and all kinds of crazy stuff like that. And then first actual movie that broke me into the industry that actually got produced was Zathura.
Yes.
What was your last job?
Oh, I sure hope it's not my last job.
No, what was your last job?
Most recent produced project, not what I'm working on now, would have been Tron Ares. Coming soon.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty amazing.
What's your last job?
Let's see. Well, Constantine and I were doing Green Hornet just up until Superman, the new Superman film. Sorry.
We did Green Hornet for that, yeah.
So James Gunn's Superman.
Zachary,
Coming
what's your
soon.
first job and how do you get it? What was your last job?
So are we talking first film job or first job?
First film job, not the one that you worked at the diner.
My first job was designing. I had like a summer thing with my roommate while I was at Art Center. Maybe this is not my first job, but one of my first jobs was, I want to say we were doing graphic design on steak packaging for like Jack Daniels or something. And I think they're in the supermarket still. First film job, Tim actually recommended me for something. It was at the time, it was a Legendary Pictures movie called Spectral. At the time, it was going to get a theatrical release, and then it kind of went through development hell for years. Didn't think it was going to come out, and then eventually got bought by Netflix and is on Netflix.
I love that movie.
Yeah, I'm surprised it came out. It's funny because it was like the kind of thing where it's like I worked on it way back when, and then you'd think it's gone, and then I work on several things since then that come out, and then years later it sort of came out after a bunch of this other stuff that I worked on. Most recent thing is Avatar 2 and soon to be Avatar 3.
He's been on Avatar for years, right? I mean, it's literally been years.
Yes.
Yeah. Constantine, same thing. First job, how do you get it? What was your last job?
First job.
Don't forget to answer, guys, how you got it, because these guys always want to know that.
Oh, I didn't answer that.
Sorry, guys.
Oh, you guys.
How I'll answer. Yeah, how I got my first job. I looked at, this is way back before online, anything online. I literally looked at Yellow Pages, found some production companies, literally sent I had a promo that I just put together, sent it out to probably like 20 companies. And lucky enough, a company called me to work on a commercial. And it was a creature shop out in Chatsworth. Worked with them for a good 5 weeks on 3 commercials. The owner, Rick Lazzarini, was kind enough to give me some of his competitors, one of them being Steve Johnson's Edge Effects, ADI, Stan Winston. I sent my promos to all of them, and literally with a week later, on a Tuesday, I remember, because my mom was freaking out, they all contacted me, and my very first job was actually Bicentennial Man as a film. Yeah, and so I got to really work with amazing talent that became my mentors. Carlo, huh? No. Carlo Huante. Carlos Huante, yeah, was a mentor of mine at that time, who's an amazing creature designer, who's worked with ILM and whatnot. And so that's how it all started. My career started in practical effects, and where I learned the foundation of what I still carry today. And so, yeah, very fortunate. My last project recently was with Tim, Superman, Green Hornet. Yeah, so those.
Oh, shit. How did I get my first job? I feel like this is boring shit, but it's important because breaking in the industry when I broke in is much different than it is now. And but the principles are the same, and that's tenacity. Like you just can't. You're going to hit adversity. You're going to hit walls. Find a way to climb over them, and that's what I did. I got my first job back in the 80s because of tenacity and knocking on doors. There was, it was push-button phones, no internet, and a physical portfolio. But I went to effects houses, met John Dykstra, who's the Academy Award winner for the first Star Wars effects, and he was willing to see my work and offered me my first job at Apogee, which was previously ILM. That led to My Stepmother's an Alien. That also led then to a recommendation for Back to the Future 2, and it just built from there. But I guess what we're trying to get out of this question is that like, don't take no for an answer, and because you're going to hear it, and just consider it a wall that you have to climb over and figure a way to climb over it.
Well, that first job, after like the job at Kinko's night shift, was just going, again, pre-internet, going through the Toronto Yellow Pages, looking at every visual effects company, industrial design company, etc., and making cold calls, trying to get interviews, showing portfolios. So it was I called a VFX company that was in town briefly called Light in Motion. They were doing, incredible big budget stuff like Brain Damaged or Basket Case 2, things like that. And Balanced Fabric Softener commercials. So that was my first job. I got in there. My first LA job was they were going to make a movie out of The Outer Limits, and when I first moved to LA from San Diego, where I was creative directing video games, I started calling around. I called this guy. I called neither of you. Definitely didn't call you. You wouldn't have picked up the phone because you would have been way too young
Probably in
to pick up
diapers.
the phone. But no, people like Harold Belker and my mind is slipping because I'm old. I networked. I knew a bunch of people just from online forums, concept design forums and stuff, and so when I moved to town, I called them all and offered to take them to lunch. This guy was one of the first guys to say, sure, come down. We're working on Chronicles of Riddick. Come visit us. And got to hang out with him and Miles Tevis and Jim Martin, Matt Codd, Steve Berg. I mean, all my heroes. And the job I got because Harold Belker, who I had also taken out to lunch, said, hey, you know what? I've got this job. They really want me to do it, and I don't really want to do it. And I'm busy with something else. Why don't you come with me to the interview? And so I did, and they hired me. So I ended up doing that.
Cool. I haven't answered any of these questions.
Yeah, what is going on with that?
I don't know, I'm scared.
Just blaze through them really fast.
I'm trying.
You know you have control over that, right?
Okay, settle down. Where are you from? I'm from Blackpool, England, North England.
Is that the place with the seals?
Let me ask.
Because then you'll see the other questions and you'll get out of control. How long have you been a concept artist? 33 years. Did you always want to be a concept artist? No. What was your first
Come
job?
on, give us a little more.
Well, no, I did. I mean, I wanted to be a concept artist, but I was living in a country village in England. It was kind of a little bit of a stretch, so I was playing with the rubber jaws from Steven Spielberg's film. It was like it wasn't really exactly an easy thought to get there, but I got there. What was your first job and how did you get it? I was working at General Motors. My friend, you've heard this story so many times. My friend Jacques Ray was working on Terminator 2, like almost right after school. He got a job on Terminator 2 for James Cameron, and he had these amazing illustrations, and I left GM and kind of followed him. He helped me with contacts. But I did exactly what these guys did. I knocked on doors, I called people up, and I didn't take anyone out to lunch. I didn't go that far. But, it was back in the days, no internet, no websites. It was physical. You unzip your portfolio, show them your work. It was all hand-drawn stuff. And showed that work, and I don't know if Doug's actually in here. Doug Cheng I interviewed at ILM, and shone a light on reality to me and said, basically, I'm not ready. And I got in my little Honda CRX and drove back home and spent a month on my portfolio and went back out and got a job. I did everything in that portfolio. I did all the stuff that you do in concept art, the creatures, characters, storyboards, and invented stories, and went back out and got a job. So tried to make that the short version, but that was it. And then worked my way up from there. What was your first job and how did you get it? That was that. I was a commercial storyboards was my first job. I got it by showing them my work. What was your last job? My last job is the one I'm working on right now, which is For All Mankind on Apple TV. Designing a bunch of spacecraft, and God, it's fun. It's fun, Tim. It's fun.
It's a great show.
Yeah, it's a great. You guys should watch that show. It's pretty fun. So that's that. Okay, here's a classic. Oh, Tim, what software do you use?
We're gonna. Okay, really?
This is the last technical thing. Just get through it.
Do you guys care what software?
Yeah, they do.
Oh, you do? Oh,
yeah, they do.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. I use the Adobe Suite. I use my wrist to draw. I still use Lightwave and love it. And that's pretty much my pipeline. Everything. I purposely brought to this marker sketches and gouache sketches because that's what we did back in the day, along with other stuff. The stuff you see in here is all done in either mixture of Lightwave and Photoshop.
Okay. Photoshop is the main tool. I use ZBrush. I use Blender. I use used to use Moto, used to use Alias Studio, used to use FormZ, used to use Electric Image, used to use, I mean, you know, string of things. But the bulk of my work is actually not 3D. The bulk of my work is just painted. I still prefer to paint. It's the only way to get character out of things right off the bat, character and personality and atmosphere and mood from the beginning, rather than spending all of your time modeling and blah, 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 and then only at the very last point do you have to actually get any storytelling out of it. So yeah, it's mostly just painting in Photoshop with 3 brushes.
Zach?
ZBrush, Blender, Substance Painter, Photoshop.
Substance painter.
Yeah.
Nice.
Constantine?
I mean, it changes. It, you know, I'll add things. You know, I'll play with new stuff, and I don't like to lock myself down. I mean, I've used ZBrush my entire career, but you know, I'm always trying to experiment with new things just to keep it fresh and interesting, and see if I can adjust my approach.
Do you find it with all those software? I'm going to get to Constantine. Do you find with all those software having to switch, does it get to be a bit tricky?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you're like trying to learn on the job, you know that it's going to take longer to get the same result that I know I could get quicker in a way that I know how to do. But the challenge is intimidating, but can be exciting to just sort of like, if you're kind of in a rut, I find it's like a way to switch things up and just like, oh, let's think about this. I do a lot of creature patterns right now. Like that's kind of one of the things Avatar is known for, is the sort of the crazy patterns. And I was doing a lot of them in Photoshop, and then just in the last few months, I was like, you know what, let's try this in Substance Painter and just like learn it from the ground up. And it took me 3 times as long as it would have, but you know, and probably the result, my production designer can't tell the difference, but you know.
But you know.
Yeah, and I know I'll get faster, and I know I'll learn things, and it will get me different results eventually than I would have the other way.
Great. Constantine?
Very simple process, but still draw, still sketch. That is the foundation of sculpt. Yeah, a lot of I started sculpting clay, and then oil-based clay, water-based clay back in my practical days. Then graduated to ZBrush and Keyshot and Photoshop. It's a pretty streamlined process, and again, very fortunate. There's friends in the audience here that really, and Zach and we have Jared Morantz here, amazing creature designer, who taught me, and I had to give a little bit of a shout out to you guys. Yeah, I wouldn't be up here if it wasn't for friends.
Cool. I guess I have to answer it. My software is. I used to use Modo, but I'm using Blender. It's great. It's very fast. And finish it off with Photoshop, because a lot of us, we started hand drawing, so it's really difficult to leave that out, and why would we, you know? So I do a lot of paint overs of the models.
Can I add something super quick just to this discussion before we move on from software, just to go back to like the first job thing. I think one of the things, like my first film job, you know, part of how I got it was nepotism, was Tim Flattery recommending me. But part of it was that the production designer was looking for someone who did ZBrush, right? And this was at the time when that had not proliferated. There was not a whole long list of people in the film industry that could use it, and I had a portfolio that was very ZBrush heavy. So, you know, Neville Page was kind of it for ZBrush creatures at the time. Neville's busy. Who do we go to? Tim has a young whippersnapper that he knows. And, you know, sort of the rest is history. So I think that, you know, the advice to students I give, it doesn't have to be software, but some sort of approach, some sort of unique thing that you bring to the table that separates your portfolio, sort of zig when everybody else is zagging.
And use big words like proliferated that nobody knows what the hell does that mean?
It doesn't. I mean, the software is important, but you know, you need to have obviously confidence in your own abilities. All right, so that's it for the regular questions that we have. Look how worried Tim is. Let's hit you up with this. What's a typical day for you at work, Tim? And I know you're the provost at the school, but when you're working, doing props or whatever. What is it? Do you have a Zoom every day? It's job dependent. I know.
A PG-13 version of that, please.
There's no such thing. Kind of what you'd expect, depending on the production, depending on who I'm working for. But in general, it's usually a quick daily touch base, a daily meeting. I work remotely most of the time, so through Zoom. And going over aspects of what I have to design. From there, executing it and getting feedback, again, all remotely, and doing version after version after version until I hit just the right one that never makes it into the movie. So you see on some of my artwork, you might see like a 3C or a 3B, and a lot of you in here are familiar with that. It's like that just happens to be this is the third version, and C is the third version of the third version, and then pretty soon I'm in the 20s.
Naming conventions get out of control. Phil, what's a project or design you're most proud of?
Project or design I'm most proud of? Good heavens. I don't know. I guess I really, really like the game board from Zathura. And it's tough to have peaked so early. Yeah. But that was it was a really fun project because it was very, Michael Riva, rest in peace, brilliant production designer, old school Hollywood royalty. He was, whose grandson? He was, Marlene Dietrich, thank you. Marlene Dietrich's grandson. So, and he ran an old school art department. We were in the Heidelberg building on the Sony lot, which was from 1910, that building. It used to be a building for the Army Air Corps that had gotten moved onto the lot. It was this old school thing with big beams and stuff and drafting tables, and you could practically, imagine the old illustrators in their three-piece suits, smoking cigars and drawing on the drafting tables. It was just a great atmosphere for a job. And that was one of the ones that I was still working in markers. It was something where I had to do a lot of research into old, rolled metal stamped tin toys and stuff like that, and there was just something really magical about it. And then working with Russell Bobbitt, the prop master, on how we were going to build this and how we were going to make it, little spaceships moving around on it, and every aspect of getting sort of the 50s old toy feel of it, like the even designing the decal for it with off-register silk screens, so that there's just that little bit of red at the edge on one side and green on, all those little details. I don't know. It was just a magical project. So there you go.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that film. It was a great looking film, Zathura, if you haven't seen it. Zathura.
And we broke at 6 o'clock every day for scotch.
Yeah. Oh my, wow. Zachary, who was or is your main influence?
Wow. Geez. I mean, Constantine already said Crash McCreary, but, like that, first, the original Jurassic Park movie, which is Crash's movie, had such an influence on me at like that age when it came out. I don't remember what age I was, but pretty young, and just seeing that in the theater and just like those dinosaurs felt real to me, and I hadn't seen anything like it, and I do feel like that was sort of the spark. A lot of people, when a lot of guys a little bit more my senior, they say it was Star Wars. For me, it was that movie, and so I'd have to say Crash, who I've been lucky enough to work with, and then the other one would probably be a bald Greek man sitting next to me, I took my, not you, sorry. Can figure it out. No, I took my portfolio, and it's just like this, showing my portfolio around. I was still a student, and it was at, what was it? It was Comic-Con, and I was still in school, and I showed my portfolio around, and Constantine was just nice enough to sort of take the time and look at my work, and fast forward however many years, and we're sitting in the same room and working on the same stuff, handing models back and forth, and yeah.
I told them that day when I saw his portfolio at Comic-Con, I'll be seeing you in a few years. And we were literally working in Avatar together, and so it was one of the best experiences. Again, working with brilliant designers and artists, but also integrity is you can't ask for anything better.
Constantine, thank you, Zach, for that. That's great. Constantine, did you or do you have a mentor?
Yeah, I had a few, and I still
And
do.
how important do you feel that is to have a mentor?
I think it's very important. Also, it's funny, this goes back to my Greek culture, ancient times, always youths looked up to their sort of like elders for advice, for guidance. And I've been very fortunate enough to work with, my high school teacher, Bob Whitney, who's passed, who was kind of like a second father to me, really kind of took me at the beginning stages of illustration and painting and whatnot, exposed me to Frazetta, Rockwell, all these amazing painters, and just forced me into just painting like them, and which I hated. And then I just didn't understand. I just wanted to create. I remember being in high school, and the very first thing that really kind of got me inspired was RoboCop. And then I'm Legend, Legend, Darkness. All the movies then followed suit after that. Mentors are very, very important. I had Steve Johnson, who was a brilliant makeup effects artist, and his sort of wizardry. It was coming up with gags on set, coming up with clever ways of how to show someone's slit throat or head chopped off, or how can we manipulate a body and in a suit. And so we really kind of a lot of times we failed, and through those failures became successes. And it was usually during the down times is when we would explore and just try new things. And then you're like, oh, okay, we'll use it for Blade 2, or we'll use this for this. And mentors, yes. Mentors are very important, and I still have them today. I still, luckily, still have them today. Highly recommended.
These guys talk about Crash McCreary. If you don't know who he is, he's actually across the way in the main exhibit hall. He has a booth there. He's fantastic.
I think he's giving a competing panel right now, actually.
Oh, he is? Okay. Well, he has a booth if you're here tomorrow or later on. Sean, do you prefer working in teams, or do you get more done as an individual? It's a good question. I wrote it, and now I'm answering it. It's really difficult.
And you asked yourself.
I know. It depends. We have to work in teams, but to be an individual, you have to have your own thing, so it's a bit of a tricky thing. I'm working on For All Mankind right now, where I'm designing a lot of stuff, but I'm working underneath a boss and working with other people that produce the final thing. So you're inevitably going to be working in teams, and that's one of the things that a lot of artists don't like doing is, they like to do their thing. As a concept artist, you have to you have to bow down to the will of what needs to be done, to the script, and to what the others want from you. So it varies. Of course, we'd all like to do our own amazing stuff and say build it, but that's not how it is. So I've grown to really enjoy actually working in teams with other people. Things get done pretty fast, actually. So the answer is Yes, I do like working in teams. Preferring working in teams depends on the job, depends on the project at the time. Now, let's see what else we have. Tim, I know the answer to this for Tim, so I'm not going to answer. Tim, what's an experience on a job that blew your mind, rearranged your thinking, or just was a funny or amazing experience?
You want a good? Oh God, I got so many stories. So
Let's keep it in the right rating. Let's not go into the R or the X. Keep it. You get so worried.
Now he has fewer stories.
What's that?
Tim has so many stories. Come on, let's have one.
You want a story about something that blew my mind, or you want one that's funny?
Both.
Both?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'll try and be very quick because I don't want to settle down over there. Steady. Okay. Story that blew my mind. I have a traditional design education. Came into the movie industry thinking I knew design, but I really didn't, because design for design is much different than designing for story. And designing for story takes experience and takes mentorship. And I had no clue at that point until I did Batman Returns with Tim Burton. And I did the Rocket Pack Penguins with Tim Burton. And I was doing these little sketches, and him and the production designer came by, and we're looking at them, and they were like, yeah, and Tim's like, we got to get these in the movie. He said, just a minute, I'm gonna show you a book. And he came back and he gave me this book, and it was Joel Peter Wiccan. And have you ever heard of Joel Peter Wiccan? He's a photographer that photographs the macabre, cuts up cadavers and takes pictures of them, and this is his art. And Tim Burton's showing me these pictures of like a cut off arm laying over a severed head with grapes in front of it, and he's like that. I want you to do it like that. And then another one of like a skull that has been cut from behind and kissing each other, and he's like, like that. And I didn't know what he was talking about, but it soon hit me afterwards. I learned so much from Tim Burton about designing for story, that these were circus freaks in the Penguins' henchmen and lair. And he was showing me mood and emotion. And I didn't get it right away. I was like being literal, and that was me being literal. I'll get a design problem and solve it. And so that blew my mind, and it changed me forever and made me a designer of story. So that's that story. A funny story would be with Arnold Schwarzenegger on Jingle All the Way. Has nothing to do with design. Arnold Schwarzenegger's sense of humor is in the toilet, which is like mine. And so we got along great. Jingle All the Way, I designed and supervised the construction of Turbo Man. Have you guys seen Jingle All the Way? Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's the ultimate consummate pro, because being in these suits is miserable, but he finds a way to make it fun. So after building the suits, I basically oversaw him in the suit for 3 months on set. I'd get him in the suit, get him out of the suit, do whatever I needed to do to make adjustments, make things comfortable. After about a month, we started realizing we had the same sense of humor, and so he took it upon himself. When you get the suit on him, you get everything going, and the helmet's the last thing to go on. And, so when you're putting the helmet on him, it's like this. And he would just give me this 3-mile stare and do that and hit me. And he would hit me in the nuts like 3 or 4 times a day. And then he started doing it in front of the crew on set, like, okay, we're getting ready to rolling. Tim, get his helmet on, put his helmet on, and then, so till finally I started showing up to set with a cup on the outside of my pants. So that's not the story. So the story is, I'm in the movie, I'm in the scene. You said you've seen it. So you remember when he's running from the cop, and they're like, oh, are you the guy? And they slap the Turbo Man suit on him. Do you okay, so I'm one of the guys that's putting the Turbo Man suit on him. Myself and 4 of the fabricators. So we did a rehearsal, and then we did the first and second take. And my part was the cowl that kind of goes around his neck was to pull that over his head, right? And while the guy's giving him all this direction about how to be Turbo Man. So after the second take, he says to me, he said, "Tim, I feel like I could talk, because if you saw the movie, he's being roughed up and he can't get a word in while the guy's giving him this direction." He goes, "I feel like I could answer the guy." He goes, "You're going to have to be rougher with me." And I looked at him and so wait, I just want to make sure you want me to get rough. He said, "Yeah, I don't want to be able to talk." And I said, "You got it." And then so I finally was just like, I didn't care about the camera, the DP, or anything else. This was my moment to enact revenge. So it's a ready action. We come in, we had it all choreographed. I took the cowl and I left it over his face. I shook his head really hard and I left it over his face. Then I grabbed him by the shoulders as hard as I could. I just started kneeing him in the nuts until he went down to the ground. And he was laughing so hard, they had to redo his makeup because there was tears coming out of his eyes. "Nobody's ever done that to me in front of..." Cut, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? And then he's got his buddy, who's a bodybuilder friend, who was in Gladiator, is the big, huge, dark dude in Gladiator, came to visit on the set that day, and he didn't know this shit's been going on between the two of us for, I don't know, 3 months, and he came back, "Are you trying to hurt him? Are you good?" You know, and I was like, you know, and he's like, "Relax, it's anything." But anyway, so I got him back. I got him back on camera, and I put him in the ground. That's my funny story. That took too long, sorry.
Any of you guys want to throw anything out there? No one's going to top that. No. Okay, we're going to ask one or two more questions, then we'll go to the audience for questions. Let's see. Phil, what in your life, consciously or subconsciously, strongly influences you, such as where you grew up, travel, people you met, etc.? I find this is important because everyone's experience produces different work subconsciously, I think, as a designer, as an artist. So I'm just curious about some of that stuff with other concept artists. Is there anything?
Ooh, subconsciously. Well, I don't know, because it's subconscious.
All right,
I can tell you what influences me consciously.
Let's start.
Yeah.
Let's start with consciously.
I mean, I think of my job as being a problem solver. So I approach everything from the perspective of trying to figure out how to solve the numerous problems that in any design need to be solved on every level. I mean, on a character level, on a story level, on a production level, on a if this were a real thing, how would it actually work level. You know, I mean, there's sort of a hierarchy. And for me, it always does start with character and then story and then, you know, how would it work in the real world? And then, you know, how are we going to build it for it to actually work in the real world or on set if it's not just going to be digital. And that's just how I kind of approach everything. It's how I start with an image. It's the reason why I always like to start, generally speaking, in 2D, because I want to get right to the storytelling. I want to get right to the emotion of it. You know, I want to be able to convince. You know, people make decisions emotionally, not intellectually, I find, generally speaking. They think they do make decisions intellectually, but really the intellectual part happens a split second afterwards, and it's the justification for why I instinctively made that decision in the first place, if that makes sense. That's certainly true of creative people. So I'm always trying to hit that emotional note first, and then let them decide why they like it. But I want them to like it right off the bat without knowing why. So, so that's sort of the problem-solving process.
Well, you've taken like a turn in your work. I feel like that sounded wrong turn, but like your recent work has just, you've done these like quieter moments. You're working on these big Marvel movies, but I feel like you're not always doing these big flashy keyframes of people shooting each other. It's like these quiet moments that have a lot of soul, and like I'm really impressed with that sort of thing.
Yeah, some of the stuff's up on the slides too. All right, we're going to do the last question. It's going to be for Constantine and Zach, if you guys want to answer it. Are you a social person, or do you depend on social media to get your work out, and is that important to you?
Good question.
Personally, no. I actually hate Instagram. I'm sorry, with all due respect. I can't stand it. I do it for work reasons. I find it quite annoying, because day to day, when we have deadlines and you have so many things on your mind, meetings and whatnot to accomplish, that adds an extra, every time I post, an hour or two, depending on what it is. It is important, though. It is important. So, but yeah, personally, I kind of find it a little annoying. Sorry.
Zach?
I mean, I would say I have a same answer as Constantine, love-hate relationship with it. I was not on social media I didn't have a social media presence until the last couple years, maybe, and I always I find it kind of emotionally harmful. But then I did start seeing like, okay, as these younger directors, some of whom are my age, are on Instagram and they're looking at artists, right? And I started seeing peers of mine, friends of mine, getting work off of Instagram and etc. And I was like, well, okay, I better do it, right? Even though I hate it. And my advice is to sort of post something and get out, like just don't let it eat up your life. I actually installed an app on my phone that locks me out of social media and that I can't unlock.
Oh, you can't unlock it.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I find it weird. I don't know if it's me, but artists, we're not very good at, hey, look how good I am. It's like we kind of put the work up and walk away. That's traditionally what it is. And you either kind of like it or you don't like it, but like going, this is the great art I did, look how fantastic it is. And, so that's my relationship with social media, is it's just weird. Like I'm looking at my work right now, it's like, wow, look at it. And it's just strange to me to put it up on social media and then you're like, hold on a minute, I've got to see if I've got any likes, It's like, oh, God. And then you get into that rabbit hole. So I have the same feeling as you guys, a love-hate relationship with it. Of course, everyone wants their work to be liked, but really it's getting it out there in the hope that someone sees it. I mean, I'm on ArtStation just because that's where I direct my future employers to look at my work, But I'm not a daily poster. These daily posters, it's so exhausting. I don't know where they find the time. Tim, what do you think?
It's interesting to hear your guy, because I have the same feeling, but to a further extent. I stopped. I'll view social media, but I stopped posting. Before, I only posted about my work anyway, for the same reasons. And I stopped. I haven't posted anything in a couple years now. I think for the same reasons that my hate relationship is stronger than the love. But I do appreciate seeing your work on there and celebrating, you guys. And so I feel like there's great positives to it, and then there's great negatives.
Yeah, I think if there's any positive, it's to celebrate the art and to celebrate what's out there and look at it from that point of view, instead of looking to see if anyone really wants to write anything or say it's amazing. Just to celebrate the art. All right, well, that's it.
I haven't answered yet.
Can I just
Constantine, I'm sorry.
Really quickly, the one positive thing that I do like about social media and Instagram is every now and again I'll get someone from like Australia or Italy or New Zealand saying, hey, can I see your process on this? I really like the post on that. And that is nice to be able to give back and show something that inspires someone that, and they'll DM me or, text me and then I like that because if it helps someone and it inspires someone, that's the one good positive thing that I do appreciate, that it's not just time wasted. But yeah, Sean was saying the same thing. We normally just want to do the artwork, and just go. But yeah, it's nice when it is appreciated. Yeah.
I think it's changed a lot since the early days of it. There used to be a couple of forums back in the 90s. Kind of late 90s, I would say. There was one called the Sigen Forums, and then there was conceptart.org, which was run by a good friend of mine who passed away. And they were very different. It was you would post your stuff, and then your peers would critique them. And, you would get like Craig Mullins just choosing to take your piece and do a paint over and show you stuff. And that was so valuable. And it wasn't just about getting attaboys. And it's nice to get attaboys from my peers and my friends, and that's the audience that, no offense, but that's who we want our affirmation from, is the people who we know and we respect and we admire, and that's great. And in this post-COVID era where we aren't in, for the most part, except for Sean, in-person art departments anymore, and we don't get that I'm going to stretch my back and I'm going to look over my buddy's shoulder and I'm going to be horribly depressed and also incredibly inspired at the same time, looking at what they're doing. We just don't get that anymore. So I like that aspect of it, but I find it so incredibly artificial. Because, I will post my best work that is on some obscure thing and I will get 100 and something likes or whatever. And then I will post some horrible thing that I don't like from a Marvel movie and there will be 5,000 likes and there will be pages and pages of discussion that has nothing to do with the artwork whatsoever. It's about the franchise and the fans and that kind of stuff. And while it's cool, fun, whatever, brings attention to my work, it's not really attention to my work. It's just part of the fandom machine. So, I'm very bad at. It's usually a year after I'm allowed to post stuff that I get around to posting stuff.
To just quickly add for 30 more seconds, one more point is like I do to the benefits of it. Having grown up on this tiny island and with the 56K modem and to get online, I just felt so isolated, and you're kind of in the middle of nowhere. Now, I'm connecting, there's an artist that I really admire who lives in Germany, and we connected on Instagram and we DM'd a bit. We have similar interests. I just met him for the first time today in person.
Oh, cool. That's cool.
So it is really good for that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's the positive part of it for sure. All right, we're gonna give the questions to you guys. I think we can't see a thing with these lights blasting.
Hey, Shawnee, can you come over and sit next to me a little closer?
Hand way out in the
corner. There's a microphone. There's a microphone over here.
Yeah,
there's a microphone over there. So anyone wants to ask questions, go over there or go over there.
Line up with the mics.
All right, here on the right, go for it.
So, is this thing on?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. I have two questions. So I am a student concept artist currently.
Hold on, I don't think it's on.
Yeah, I don't think it's on. I think I'm just talking really loudly.
I can hear you.
Is it on? Yeah.
It's on, but
It's okay. We can hear you. It's okay. So you're a concept artist student. Where do you go?
I'm currently in community college right now since I'm only 19, and unfortunately art school is just too expensive for me to consider right now. But I was wondering if in the future, say 2 or 3 years later, that if 2D concept artists in both films and video games still hold value, because every time I'm looking at LinkedIn, looking for internships, they're always like, for concept artists, it's always like, have good experience in like Photoshop and the Adobe Suite, but also have experience in Blender, Maya, ZBrush, all of these. And I have picked up 3D software as well, like 3D Coat is one of them for weapon designs. However, do you think in the next 2 to 3 years that 2D concept art will still hold its value compared to 3D?
I'm going to answer that. I have a whole thing about that. You guys who do 2D stuff, don't ever let it go. Yeah. It's the basis of art. I mean, it's the basis of what we do. And hold on to that. You're the next generation, and you will make that happen. I do 2D, I do 3D, and that's just because I want to have a large toolkit and to be employed for a long time on any particular job, which doesn't mean if you only do 2D, you're only going to be working a few weeks, you know. But if there's any advice I can give is that, you know, study the other tools. Because you know what, no matter how much you like 2D, maybe something else, you'll be able to express yourself in a different way. So, you guys, if you have anything else.
That says it all. 2D is always going to have a place in what we do. It's, but you have to be realistic and know that there's other skill sets that, such as 3D, that are going to be expected of you.
Mm-hmm. I think 2D is critical. Having the skills, whether you end up using it on a job or not, because it's what gives you control of the tool, right? So if you don't know where a reflection is supposed to fall, you are dependent on that model and that rendering engine and that HDRI image to project something on there. And it you know, if you've got an HDRI that has a lot of highs and lows and stuff, and you're doing a car body or something like that, it may put a reflection on the side of that thing that is a reflection of a tree, but what it looks like is a dent in the side of the car. You know what I mean? Like unless you understand how that works, or you understand composition, or you understand color theory, or you understand lighting, or you understand all of the things that you would be doing by hand, then you are dependent on what that software gives you. You are no longer making those choices. And choices are the foundation of design. Everything is a choice. Where every time you push a vertice or you do a brush stroke, that's all a choice, and it's all contributing to design. So I think that's critical. But I also think it's important to have a broad toolkit, because I never know how I'm going to be starting a project. I mean, sometimes I'm going to be, you know, sketching in pencil. Sometimes I'm going to be, you know, doing a block model in 3D. Sometimes, you know, I just never know, because if I'm going to have some complicated stuff that's repeated into perspective, I don't want to paint that. That's going to be a pain in the ass. So I'm going to build it in 3D first. I'm going to render it out, and then I'm going to paint over it. So just as many tools as you have in your toolkit, I would say one 3D, you know, sub-D surface modeling piece of software, a sculpting program, whether it's ZBrush or something else, and whatever your, you know, 2D painting poison of choice is.
Yeah,
so.
Because like ideally for me, I do almost everything 2D. In fact, I even do a lot of it traditionally, and it's like, my ideal studio job would to just be a 2D concept artist of some kind.
You'll get that job, you know.
Yeah.
That job exists.
I mean, the thing is, like, the reason I went to 3D is because I did a movie, and I did like it was a library with 1,000 books. I drew it by hand. Didn't draw 1,000 books, but you know, you draw it. And the director came and says, "Great, you know what'd be great? Can I have another one?" And the camera's just like that. I'm like, what? He goes, just like 6, 8 feet to the left. And I'm like, I have to redraw. So I had to redraw the whole thing. And it was right after Jurassic Park, or the big CG thing. And so I took up Lightwave, and I was like, well, that will solve that problem. But that's a tool that solves a problem. It's not going to make you a better designer. If you express yourself better in 2D, that's the way to go, and hold on to that. But like the guys here said, and like I'm saying, just try some other stuff. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you make it with clay or mud or gum. You're expressing yourself using something, right?
Yeah.
So try not to be stuck in one thing. And you're young. You've got a lot of stuff ahead of you. Try other tools. We're going to jump over here.
I was just going to add one more point because I think it's important. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we got.
I was just going to say, versatility is really critical for. I mean, there is the job that is just 2D, but that job may only last 2 months, and then you got to find your next job, and you don't know. You just got to try to be the right tool for every job if you can. Because this is a tough business to have longevity in, and you got to be open to taking whatever comes your way and be able to, whether you can or not, say, oh, no, I can totally do that. I can totally, I absolutely use ZBrush. And then, between the Friday of the interview and the Monday that you start, learn ZBrush over those 2 days.
All right, let's go over here. Thank you very much for your question.
Yeah.
Hope we helped you with it.
Thank you so much.
Let's go over here.
Hi, I'm TJ, and even though I have a certification in digital animation and gaming, which required taking Blender courses, I still, for my skill set, feel that I'm just at a very basic level, just basic software navigation. And I kind of wanted to ask, since some of you guys use Blender, what would be the best way that I could try and advance forward? Because currently the only things I can realistically model are some houses, cars, and weapons, really.
What are you still a student now?
I'm a junior in high school.
You're a junior in high school?
Yes.
Now you feel bad for swearing, don't you?
I just want to formally apologize for my stories and my language.
I've heard way worse from my physics teacher, man.
I'm sure you have. You're a junior in high school, you're going to be just fine. The fact that you are thinking the way you're thinking right now and just asking the question you just asked, you're going to be fine. The answer to your question is simply, it's going to be miles. In other words, you're going to learn what you need to know, because when you're given an assignment, like for somebody you're working for, you're going to have to do something specific in that 3D program, and you're going to figure out how to do it, and then you're going to get better from that assignment, and then you're going to work on another show, and you're going to be challenged in a different way, and you're going to use your tool set, whether it's 3D or 2D, in a different way on that because you were asked to, and you'll get better from there. It's like a tier structure. So the answer to your question is, it'll come with experience, it'll come with as you put miles in, right? So keep doing what you're doing, learn the programs, and then challenge yourself with assignments that would make you do things that you don't know already.
And I would also like to ask just one more thing. Are you able to provide some of your social medias? Because I did hear you guys say that you can, if we message you, about your, progress and your, workflow.
Yes,
do you have those available?
Mine is knee Arnold Schwarzenegger and the nuts.
Yes.
Unbelievable. She's serious.
Yes.
If I can speak for everyone, we would all be happy to.
Just Google our names. It should be on the listing on the panel.
Yeah.
If you Google anybody, you'll find us in there.
And just say, I asked a question at LightBox. That was me. And we would be happy to respond to any questions you have.
Thank you.
so much.
Good luck. Thank you. Let's go over here.
Yeah. I just have some really, niche questions about Tron Legacy. I'm still matching names and faces. I don't know where to look. Bill.
You didn't do anything on it?
I did.
Yeah. So
Okay.
the two of us.
Sure.
Maybe she should ask the
Let's hear the question.
Yep, don't worry. Avatar still has a chokehold on me, but I'm still curious about Tron Legacy. So in the beginning, the whole point of the grid, Kevin's vision was, it was supposed to be a utopia, but in the flashbacks right from the start, it's already gloomy and dark. Clue hasn't really stirred the pot yet. So why not have, actually lit up skies? Why is it dark right from the beginning? Why not make it look like a utopia when Kevin was still in charge?
Yeah, Phil.
Why did
I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry.
Why did he do that?
I screwed it all up. No. The director comes from an art. Hey. The director comes from an architecture background, and he had a very, very specific vision. This was one of the movies where this was not a case of, Joe Kosinski, he's probably one of the only directors I've worked for where I will do one version of something, and he will look at it and say, "Yep, that's it. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Move on." Yeah, I know, right? No kidding. Most directors will, you'll show them 5 good variations of something, and they'll say, I really like this one, but could you give me about 100 other variations before I come back to that one and pick it? Yeah. So yeah, that's a Joe Kosinski question. He has a very, very specific vision, and I don't think it was related to story. I think it was just, this is the mood I want to project.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Can I just quickly add to that? I mean, one of the beautiful elements about visually that movie was it all felt seamless, and I think that helps because you have practical suits, you have practical sets. I think the lighting and all that VFX really helped it all feel like it's all one, versus sometimes where you have VFX and it's not, it just doesn't feel, you can tell like, oh, there's a cutout, there's this. I mean, yes, it's gotten a lot better, but I always felt Tron and what Joe Kosinski did in that sort of palette really all felt very seamless.
Yeah,
in that
because
respect. And I think it helps. Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't want to say how old I was when I first saw it, because I don't want to make people feel old. But even though I was a little younger, couldn't quite understand what was going on, the visuals, I was just like, ooh, it stuck, even though I was a little too young to understand the concepts. But yeah, you're right. It was like really seamless, so iconic, and really just ahead of its time. I always remember it.
It helps also. I mean, these suits have light, they have a lot of graphics, and I think having it also in that sort of like tone and setting really kind of helps it read. Also, when you look at the original one, it had that sort of palette and is just done way better.
Plenty of funny stories around those suits, man. Let me tell you.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's go back over here.
Oh, okay. Hi, it's wonderful to meet you. I'm Valerie. Was it Zach and Sean who graduated from Art Center? What was
and
that?
Constantine,
Is
yeah.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. I just graduated recently. Hi.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you. You were talking about mentorships, and those are pretty limited at the college. And people I've spoken to, they've gotten mentorships through other people they know in games, film, and animation. As someone who doesn't know a wide network of people, what would you suggest for me to do to find a mentorship? Because I've been cold applying, I found that that's not too effective.
You're speaking about internships.
Oh, mentorship?
Okay, so 2 different things. So what they were speaking about in a mentor, it just, having a mentor and somebody who not only did they look up to, but also help them along, right? An internship is, we're talking about 2 different things, I think, right?
You're looking for a mentor, or are you looking for a unpaid slave job at some company?
A mentorship.
Got it.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of, for me anyway, it kind of happened organically. Like I took a bunch of classes. I connected with, it wasn't even at Art Center. It was at Concept Design Academy. They have a booth here, Kevin Chen's school in Pasadena. And I took a ZBrush class with the instructor at the time was Brian Wynia, and we just sort of hit it off. I took the class a couple times, and we just sort of connected, have similar interests, and he sort of de facto became like a mentor. I don't know if we ever like declared it or anything, but like I could email him questions of like he was a little further along in his career, and had sort of made some mistakes or had figured things out a little bit more, and sort of could help me when I was hitting a roadblock, right? And Constantine's the same way now, like where he's further along, and I can sort of like go like, hey, this client is asking for this thing, what do you think? And he'll respond, So I wouldn't force it. It's kind of an organic process.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I can speak to sort of both sides of this. I've had a number of mentors as I was moving along in my education and career. Mostly they've been teachers or they've been bosses. And, they just realized that I was insanely passionate and driven, and it was either help me or get out of my way. So they went the help me route. And then from the other side, I have a mentee who's sitting in the front row here, and it was just pure happenstance. I was in Toronto on a bus with my kids one summer and looked over the seat, and there was a young woman looking at a book on how to become a concept designer, and I was like, no.
Was your work on the cover?
No, my work was not on the cover. But it was like, seriously? So we connected then, and like a year later, she was at Sheridan College and said, hey, we're supposed to get a mentor, would you be? And of course, so there you go.
But I think one thing that you touched upon, if you are feeling anxious about speaking, and that's something that I certainly went through, like the people skills are an important aspect of the job. So if that's something that you feel like you need to improve, then there are ways to improve it, right? And it's for me, a lot of it was sort of mileage, for lack of a better term, like the same way I learned how to sketch or whatever. My mic cut out, but thank you. Just practice and messing up and being bad at it, and putting my foot in my mouth and getting better at it. There is an aspect to this job that's like, certainly pre-COVID, where we would all be stuck in a room together, and they want to know, like when they're interviewing you for a job, they want to know, like, can they hang out with you for a long time, right? Like long hours, and so it is the portfolio, but it's also the people skills. So if that's something that I don't know you, but if you feel like that's that you need to work on, then take an improv class or something. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, over here.
Hello, my name is Carlos. One of the questions I had for you guys was about interpersonal connections. Like you mentioned, like whether like being on set or online presence. Like, do you find that just learning by osmosis from those people help you improve to have a better vision, or like a broader vision on like how to tackle a project, or just like get to know them personally, like people on set, stuff like that?
Yeah, Carlos, absolutely. Because making a movie is a collaborative effort, and like Sean was talking about a team. So, for instance, when you're working, if what you're doing requires you to be on set, as it did me, I learned just as much from what a grip had to do and how what I was doing had to integrate with what a grip's doing, and how they move a dolly made me better, right? I mean, I know that sounds far-fetched, but it's actually true. Or understanding the DP and the palette that they want for the movie makes you better in telling the story. So that collaboration is everything.
It's rare that good design ever comes out completely in isolation.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, you got to be, just like what I was saying before about how many different levels you have to solve a design problem on. That means you've got to understand what the writer's thinking. You've got to understand what the construction crew is thinking. You've got to understand all sorts of stuff. So, getting to know these people and getting to absorb their experience and their knowledge and their point of view. Like if everything was just designed from a design perspective, you couldn't tell a story with that stuff, because it would be like, well, I've got all this complicated stuff going on, and we're going to have to spend 5 minutes looking at this prop to get it all out, right? So, yeah.
And just quickly, I think it's been touched on briefly, but filmmaking is inherently a collaborative process. It's like a whole big team effort. Like every creature we do on Avatar is like sometimes both of us would work on the same creature. Yeah. It would get handed to another department to do like the sort of low-res proxy maquette. There would be animation tests, and animator touches it. Sometimes it would come back to art to augment after the animator touches it. It goes, then the director is sort of looking at it, obviously. Production designer is offering input, and then it's going to visual effects, and they do their whole thing, and and then there's lighters and texture artists, and just for that one creature, right? And
And we built like real like for Piacon for the whale, like they built like a proxy of his fin and his eye, so that the actors had something to act off of. Like, it's not done in a vacuum.
And there's a medic in case of the critiques with James Cameron.
Okay, Carlos, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Over here.
Hi, first of all, it's so nice to hear from you guys today. But I had a question.
Can you speak up a little bit, please?
Oh, yeah, sorry. It's so nice to hear from you guys today. But I had a question more about your process. What do you guys think about when you tackle like mechanical designs or alien designs and monster designs? Like, what do you think about?
Well, I can answer that. I do a lot of mechanical stuff and hard surface stuff. My imagination started with my dad taking me around to machine shops when I was young and looking at a machine and going, God, that looks amazing. I don't know what it does. I mean, I don't know what it's for, but I can see how it kind of does its thing. So I just think about, I mean, most of us with hard surface design or design in general, it's working big to small. You get the first, it's a three-step process. You get the first, you're blocking the first major shape or shapes, and then work down from there. And the first step is the hardest. I'll probably spend 90% of my time on that first step, and then that answers the other two steps questions. You know what I mean? So you don't want to spend too much time on fiddling around with the details and all little bits and bobs. You want to get the big picture stuff first. That really goes to any design creatures and characters. You got to get the big stuff first. But as far as mechanical stuff, I think all of us, Tim and I have an industrial design degree. I think Phil does too. We just kind of have absorbed that kind of stuff and by observation.
What's your name?
My name is Gracie.
Gracie, would you consider yourself a curious person?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Then you got it. So the answer to your question is you got to be curious and have that, like, you want to know how things work and feed that curiosity, and then that's what feeds your inspiration, you know. So having just a gentle curiosity of wanting to know what makes something work the way it does, that's the DNA of design.
And illustration and all that too, because like, you know, my wife always comments that I'll be walking along the road and then all of a sudden I'll be doing this on the side of a car, and I'm like watching the way a reflection moves across the surface and stuff, and that's also wanting to know, why is it that, you know, when I look like this, I don't see any reflection on the table, but when I look really shallow, all of a sudden it's like a mirror. You know, all of that, you know, if you're curious about all of that stuff, it's going to inform your ability to design.
Yeah, and be observant. Like some of the, you know, the love of my life is the most curious person I know. Like, you absorb, and that turns into your output in your work.
Yeah, we don't just sit down and just come up with stuff like we were born that way. It's a process of experience.
And I do a ton of research at the beginning of any project. Anything I spend probably the first day just doing research.
Thank you so much.
I don't do any research, by the way. I just kind of got right in there.
I can tell.
Oh my gosh. So, hi, my name's Cameron. I'm a second year in my illustration program. I was wondering what the biggest pitfalls you'd caution younger like artists trying to break into the industry to avoid. This could be based off like your own personal experience or like what you see in like up and coming artists' work, but yeah, like.
Great question.
Yeah, that's an awesome question. Can I start? No, you guys go.
Yeah.
Constantine.
There you go. Pitfalls in young artists' portfolios that I've seen. Oh God, that's a very hard question.
Practices, not just work.
You want to jump in?
I'll kick it off.
Please, yeah.
Here's the. Do not rely on crutches ever. And what I mean by that is jumping into a 3D program and letting that substitute strong foundations. Yeah. Like, you've got to understand and master 1, 2, 3-point perspective, drawing, knowing values, understanding lighting, so that all those foundational things can apply to when you do 3D. So that's the most important thing I can tell you. You have to take the journey. Don't just jump to the destination because a piece of software lets you get there. You've got to take the journey of strong foundations so that you master that stuff that makes you better in 3D.
And I would add, don't worry about speed. There's this social media driven obsession with
the rendering before bed, right?
Yeah, the lunch, the lunch sketches where someone shows this incredible photorealistic thing and says, "Yeah, I did this in 20 minutes over lunch," and that, nobody can do good design in 20 minutes. It just, you can do image making, but our job is not image making. The thing that people who get obsessed with speed painting and showing off their stuff online and generating quick material to put on social media, what they forget is that our job is not to create images. Those images are not a final product. The images are simply there to communicate the real product, the content, which is the design, the problem solving, to the next person down the chain who's going to translate that into a physical object, or translate it into a VFX model, or translate it into whatever else, or if it's a keyframe, translate it into a shot, right? So don't get so obsessed with speed, and don't get so obsessed with the image as the end product.
Okay, guys, we have one more. Thank you very much. One more question.
Yeah, hi there. My name is Elsa. I'm actually a junior illustration student at CCS.
Oh, Elsa, right on.
Yeah. I was just wondering, for people who are in like the art education system but aren't necessarily in concept design focused majors or programs, are there any independent study tools that you guys would recommend, such as like mentorships were mentioned, but like any independent online classes, studying? What do you guys recommend for that?
Draw. No, seriously. I mean, this is not a career that, no offense to you, and I'm not, I want to make sure that you are still employed, but you don't need to go to college to learn this stuff necessarily anymore. I mean, when I was a kid, there was nothing out there to learn from to do concept design. And so I just looked at my heroes, which were Joe Johnson and Sid Mead and Ralph McQuarrie, and they were all industrial designers, so I studied industrial design. But there are so many resources out there to learn from. Online, you don't have to pay for them. They're free. And the real thing is just doing the work, putting in the miles. If you're passionate about concept design, you may be studying something else, but go home and do a bunch of concept designs.
Everything he just said is horseshit.
Says the provost at CCS. Here it comes. You doomed yourself, Phil. You are doomed.
You need to start on drawing 101. No, I'm kidding. What Phil's saying is, if you've got the passion to draw, you'll find that putting the miles in is what's going to get you there. And yes, there are resources. That's the great thing right now about learning in today's world. You got multiple resources, whether it's a DVD or something online that is some tutorial online. But there's nothing like, we've been talking about mentorship here, there's nothing like learning from somebody who's in the business, whether it's in a formal classroom or on the side, right? An informal mentorship to help guide you and give you information that you otherwise wouldn't be able to have.
A teacher is a kind of mentor, and you go through a school and you go through all the mentors.
And the other...
Hold on, I haven't finished. Now I forgot what I was going to say. Hey, we have to go, look. We have to go.
Oh, that's a wrap-up sign.
That's a wrap-up.
Sorry, everybody. Yeah.
So thank you very much for coming. Hope we helped you out.